Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today to share my August works in progress with you. I have lots of things to share today. I'm really excited about some of these things. And well, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, as you can tell, I have a lot of things on the table. First, I just wanted to talk about Blockheads 4. I think we're officially past the halfway point now. These last two little blocks were extra bonus blocks that they added in recently, and just having so much fun with all of these blocks. I still haven't decided on my setting. I keep getting some emails and I've really got to figure that out because I have so many things coming up this fall that I'm thinking about sewing ahead, getting these all done and actually put together as soon as I can. So yeah, I really need to figure out how I'm going to set them, and I'll probably do a different setting with the large blocks than with the small blocks. But if you haven't started sewing, it's not too late. Moda has all of these patterns. They're free. These are 9-inch finished blocks and these are 4.5-inch finished blocks, and you can do one or the other or both, and you can combine them into one quilt or do separate quilts. I'm going to do separate quilts. But yeah, I'm really having a good time with these. I am staying a couple weeks ahead, but as I mentioned, I'm going to try to maybe actually finish as many as I can other than the bonus blocks that they keep adding in. I think there are going to be a couple more of those. Okay, so I'm also working on my Quilting Life block of the month. This was the August block that we shared on the first Thursday of the month, and I've actually got, I think, November's done and September's done, so I'm going to actually get both of these quilts finished and sent off to the quilter as well, just to kind of free up my fall a little bit. But really loving how both of these quilts are going to turn out, and can't wait to show you a little bit more about the setting for each of these. And again, we'll have a link to these. You can join in at any time. You just have to download the patterns all before the end of the year when I start the next block of the month. And yes, I will be doing a 2023 block of the month also. Okay, right here is, and we'll pop up a picture of this. This is my finished Home for the Holidays sampler quilt. And we will be doing a sew along in the fall. Chelsea and I will both be sharing our quilts and tips for every single block. You actually have 14 different block options for the 12 block quilt. Chelsea did a Christmas version using our Emma collection. I did this kind of just summary version using Emma, and we're really excited to tell you about that. We'll have a PDF coming soon with the fabric requirements, and so you can start gathering your fabric, and we'll start the sew along in the fall as soon as the Emma collection ships. But this quilt is just, I had custom quilting on it from my friend Val, and just really love how it turned out. Okay, oh, this is just the Fat Quarter Shop Designer Mystery Block of the Month. Every once in a while I sign up for these. I've been designing a block for this sew along every year for the past several years, and every once in a while I will just sign up for it and get the fabrics, and it's just so fun to just have something to do that I don't really have to think about. I didn't have to write the pattern other than the block I designed, but that was all done a long time ago. And so this is block 1. This is actually designed by Camille Ross Kelly. And so I've got my first block. It's a 12 block quilt. And just something that I do often with these sew-alongs is I will often make a second block using my scraps. And I'm still thinking about doing that because it's a great way to just kind of make 2 quilts at once. So I am going to be making 2 blocks every month, and I can't really show you the fabric I'm going to be using for those yet, but just you'll have to trust me that I will be making those double blocks, and then sometime in December or January I'll show you up to that point, that second set of blocks, and then from then on I'll be able to share the rest of those blocks. But this is a really fun block of the month to participate in. Okay, this one might look familiar if you saw last Thursday's video. This is the August small project of the month, and it's a really fun table runner that I designed. It's just one of my more inexpensive PDF patterns only. And I actually already made another one of these. It's at the Quilter right now, but I made a fall version with Corey Yoder's Cozy Up fabrics. And then I made a 4-block version where I put the 2 blocks into the 4 blocks into a 4 patch. And I haven't decided, it's being quilted as well. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make that into a table topper or a pillow. I kind of feel like I'll know when I get it back what I'm going to do with that. So I'll show you those other 2 finishes next month when we do our works in progress. But this video is already up that you can watch, and you can also get the link to the pattern for this runner. Okay, last but not least, I'm really excited to share with you my 18-inch log cabin blocks from my 10-day challenge that I did, if you remember, back in the first part of July. And I actually had to, my 10 days were not consecutive. We went out of town, and so, but I just stopped and picked it back up when we got back in town and did my 10 days. And I'll just flip through these blocks while I kind of talk about a few things. Well, first, when I first started, I had to decide if I wanted to make the blocks just with a couple colors in each block, or if I wanted to do completely scrappy. And I finally settled on completely scrappy, and I even mixed white toned backgrounds and ivory toned backgrounds from all of our different collections. I just love how scrappy this is and how I've been able to use so many of our different fabric collections. But I'll just kind of flip through the blocks. When I started, I actually spent 3 full days, 30 minutes a day, doing the cutting for this. And I decided to cut from my scraps instead of just using my jelly roll strip box so that I could use up more fabrics. And so I just had so much fun mixing. I mean, it's just so fun to put colors next to each other that you would never put next to each other in a quilt. I feel like it was just kind of really part of the creative process that I really enjoy. Because when you have a scrap quilt and they're all together, it just works. So I ended up making 12 blocks, and as soon as I got done, I realized that I want to make 16 blocks total, because that way I'll have a 72 by 72 inch quilt. So I have 4 more blocks to make, and I'm actually just going to kind of show you really quick what my process is on these, because I really enjoyed it. Okay, as I mentioned, I did spend about an hour and a half, 30 minutes each on 3 different days just cutting strips. And I cut all of the pieces to the exact measurements that I needed, and I've just left them out on this board. And so what I have done is I've been a little bit intentional in this scrap quilt. So you first start by sewing a light to a dark. And so what I did is I just would take a stack of 3 or 4 different lights to sew to darks, and I would chain piece them and sew them all together. And then after I sewed them and pressed them, I believe the next thing that you add, let me look at my blocks, is a light. So then I would bring them over and I would kind of just spread out my lights. I had a lot more. I need to replenish my little stack. But I would just spread out all the different prints. I'll just use these for an example. Kind of see what I had available. And then I would actually choose a light rectangle to go as the next step. And I would do that for each of my blocks, sew and press, and then come back. And so I did have some intentionality in how I put the pieces together. And I feel like that really worked, because then I could look at the blocks as they were going along and say, oh, this block is a little bit dull. Maybe I need to make sure I add a red, or oh, I haven't put a dark, I want some gray sprinkled throughout the quilt and I haven't put any in yet. So it really, really helped me. Now I do have those 4 blocks left to make, and so I need to replenish some of these strip pieces before I start sewing those, but I'm really, really excited about this quilt and about how quickly it went together. And I will definitely have them all together and hopefully even quilted by next month to share with you. But this really is a great stash buster project. It has been a great summer project for me, and also just wanted to mention that I had so much fun doing the 10-day challenge that I am going to do one every other month. I feel like every month might get to be too much, but I'm going to be doing another one in September, and so I will let you know when I'm going to start that and if I have any extra ideas about that. So anyway, just a couple more things I wanted to share. I have been also doing the Bliss blocks that are in the Sew Sampler boxes each month, and I've also been using my scraps for these. I've had 4 so far. Should be getting another box pretty soon. So I've been working on those with my scraps. And then also I just wanted to tell you about the Letters to Santa quilt along that Moda is doing. I've decided to join in on that, so I'm going to pull my fabrics. As soon as I get this log cabin quilt finished up, I'm going to start in on that. But this is the pattern that you use for the letters in that quilt, and we'll put a link up for this. But Moda will be giving you the filler blocks for their quilts, and I'll actually pop up a picture that Moda shared of some of those blocks. So those patterns are free, but to make the words, you do need to get this pattern from Primitive Gatherings, which is her mini alphabet quilt pattern. So you'll get to see my progress on this coming up in the months ahead. I think it'll be a really fun scrap quilt project to work from my stash during the holiday season and the early fall. Okay, so I think that is about it. I'm really excited. As I mentioned, I'm going to get this wrapped up, try to get my block of the month wrapped up, and start working on some Christmas sewing. I think I have decided on a gift idea, and we're actually going to be filming a video for that later this month, so I will share more about that with you at that time. Okay, so that's it for my August works in progress. I have a lot on my plate, but as I mentioned, a lot of things that I'm going to be trying to finish up quickly for all of the things that are coming soon. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.